There needs to be a homemaker, exercising some measure of skill, imagination, creativity, desire to fulfill needs, and give pleasure to others in the family. How precious a thing is the human family. Is it not worth some sacrifice in time, energy, safety, discomfort, and work? Does anything come forth without work? When I first got married, hosting and hospitality was a terrifying experience. I was worried about what people would think about our place, the food that I made. I was worried we would need something to do. Do we need an activity? Did I need to have like a card game? It stressed me out. Now that I'm a year into being married, I feel like I definitely don't have hospitality down, but I feel a lot more competent in what I'm doing. And we've obviously had dozens and dozens of people over. So Alec and I are hosting 2 times this weekend. And so I wanted to show you my process for how I plan hosting and hopefully encourage you to be hospitable as well. First, let's start with food prep. To get started with inspiration, I usually just scroll through my Pinterest boards. Obviously, I want summer foods and summer vibes. It's the 4th of July weekend, and so trying to incorporate red and blue into the food that we're having, also having American food, things like that. I never want to host with a recipe that I haven't actually tried myself, which means I have to practice cooking every week. Now, normally I plan out our meals at the start of every week, and obviously there's days of leftovers, and I try and keep low budget meals just kind of on hand and ready. But I also try to keep on hand regulars that we love, as well as seasonal favorites. I have a running list of spring, summer, and winter, fall meals that obviously we've only been married a year, but I want to try and cook them every season so that hopefully like our kids associate nostalgic foods with certain seasons. We always had this food at this time, like kind of like that. So all that being said, obviously planning for this weekend means planning meals first. So we're hosting twice, and the second time we're having some family over, and we're gonna do obviously hot dogs and hamburgers for that. We're gonna do a little twist. I'm gonna make homemade chili and homemade buns, and then the hamburger recipe that we've kind of been playing around with lately has jalapenos and bacon in it, and so it's kind of like a cheesy jalapeno burger, I guess. Very good. So we're gonna make those as well. And then we're also doing a fruit salad. For the other meal, I'm actually doing a family favorite recipe, fajitas, because every single time we make them, we get compliments. And so it's kind of like, well, I guess we'll keep making this meal. It also gives a really great summer vibe with all the grilled veggies. And then because it's summer and I want fresh and summer vibes in the food, I'm also gonna do guac and pico de gallo homemade. Obviously, hosting can be really expensive. We're going from feeding just Alec and myself to feeding sometimes 4 or 5 other people. Hey! Okay, my neighbor walked by, so that was so awkward. Anyway, Alec and I try and be intentional with our budget. We don't like going over budget with our food, and so when we know we have to plan to feed extra meals or extra mouths, we will intentionally do like extra low budget meals that week or the week after or the week before, something like that, just to kind of make up for a more expensive meal here or there. Okay, the next step after planning the meals is obviously getting the house ready, making our house hospitable. We live in a really small space, so we don't actually have storage for most of our stuff, and so they just kind of like find their way into the living room and get shoved in a corner, and so we kind of have to like clear out our living room of like random stuff just to make it a little more normal looking. And then in terms of like actually cleaning, I do have a regular cleaning schedule, but I'm pretty lax on it. I don't do it every week. So when I am hosting, I need to actually be intentional and do those things during the week so that I'm not like crazy cleaning the week of or the day of. And one way that I do that is I'll actually just like I have my regular cleaning schedule, and on top of the cleaning schedule, I'll add the food prep schedule so that I can kind of like stay on top of everything. So the prep for this week is going to be Monday. I usually just clean bathrooms. Tuesday, I'm going to do laundry and do our bedroom. And then Wednesday is the kitchen, cleaning up the kitchen. I'll probably do the food I just need to feed the starter, and then I need to make the chili for the chili dogs, because that can be in the fridge for a few days. On Thursday, I'll do laundry again, and then basically prep the living room, clean everything, probably mop the floors. And then I'm gonna prep the bread, so hot dogs and hamburger buns. I'm gonna chop all the fajita veggies, make hamburger patties, the lemonade, marinate the fajitas, stuff like that just is going to make the day of prep a lot easier. So now that I've got food planned, shopping list done, obviously I just need to get the food, go shopping, clean up, and do the food prep. This stuff has been sitting in our living room since our backpacking trip last weekend. Hi, I just wanted to come on here before I say goodbye, and I just wanted to say thanks for watching. I definitely am not a professional in any way. I feel like I have barely a year of experience in hospitality under my belt, but if you're like I was a year ago and just had no idea what you were doing, had never really hosted anyone like fully, like to that extent where you're planning everything, hopefully this is helpful to you. Also, I would recommend Every Home a Foundation. I'm blanking on who's it's by, and I actually don't have a copy of that book in front of me, but that is so good. Just like entry level, like new wife, even new mom, how to plan, how to be a homemaker, honestly. And I feel like it does a really good job being practical. I've read some other books that are a lot more, kind of more aesthetic based or like theologically why people should be homemakers, but there's not as much of a deep dive into like how to do it, what to do, examples, stuff like that. And I felt like that book actually did a really good job. I remember I only rated it like a 3 on Goodreads, but honestly, since it's been a minute since I've read it, I actually have thought about that book a lot and felt like the practical side was really, really helpful. And I just think back to it a lot. Another couple books that I haven't gotten to, but I have heard are good. The quote that I read at the start of the episode is from Edith Schaefer, What is a Family? And I've read another book by her. I haven't gotten to that one yet, but I really, really want to read that one. And then the Summa Domestica by Layla Lawler. I haven't read that either, but I follow her on Substack, and I read a lot of her Substacks. And I think that that's definitely something I want to get, but it's like expensive. But if you want to learn more about hospitality or just like the nitty gritty of like all of this homemaking stuff, I definitely recommend those books. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next week.